In this video, I'm going to break down Psalm 23. Now, it's commonly known and quoted, but when you really deep dive into it and get more of an understanding of it, you realize just how special it actually is. Starting with, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Now, we know that Jesus is the good shepherd, and we, as his flock, as his sheep, should follow the good shepherd. And by doing that, we shall not want. And it's talking of the soul, of the spiritual side. It doesn't mean that you'll get all your monetary desires and all the things in the world, but he will always lead you somewhere good. As Jesus said, the Father provides for the birds of the air, how they neither reap nor sow, and yet he provides for them. And how much more important are you than them? So by following the shepherd, and that's the important part, he will take you to a place where you shall not want. We've been places where we're broken down, especially if you're Christian, you'll understand this. You get through times in your life where you're just struggling. And then what do? You end up on your knees. And once you start turning to Jesus, it gives you that supernatural peace, even in the fire. Because that's what happens, right? Jesus meets you in the fire. And I won't go too far in case there's non-Christians listening to this, but that's a very biblical scene there, so to speak. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. Now, if you're a good shepherd, you're going to lead your sheep to better things. We were all broken before, doing all the bad things, going astray. But if we follow the good shepherd, then we'll end up in greener pastures. Now, if you're not Christian and if you've seen someone that have a radical change, or you meet those Christians and go, what have they got? Or they seem to have this crazy supernatural peace, which we do, even in bad times. They are the green pastures. Now, you can be in the world, not of the world. We can be there next to you, but we are in the greener pastures because we have the shepherd there protecting the flock. And as a good father would, we do have to go through hard things. I got 5 kids, and sometimes my children go and do something that I know will harm them within reason. And you can tell them sometimes as a parent, you have to let them experience it. And then you go, do you understand now? And through that experience, they get a deeper understanding. And as a good parent, you make sure there's boundaries, but you have to let them experience it themselves. And sometimes that's what happens. And that's part of the refinement, but he will lead you towards a greener pasture. So when you see your child doing something that they're always having a tantrum, they want the toy. They want a toy and they have a tantrum if they don't. Now, some people go, just give it to them because they don't want to go through hardship. But if you go, no, you're not having that, you take them away, even though I really want that toy or I really want that job, whatever it is, you're not having that, because in the long run, you will learn the bigger picture. It will change your character, make you a better adult or for the child, or make you better spiritually later on by letting you go through that hardship. But ultimately, you will end towards a greener end. So he will make me lie down in green pastures. Sometimes he will make us lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. Now, I like, when I think of this, because I often recite this in my head in bed, and I'm like, that peace, that is the still waters, is the opposite of the rapids that we're all going through. But those still waters are a beautiful place to be. And from someone who's traveled all over the world and been to some of the most beautiful places and realized that there's a big God-sized hole that never got filled, even in those places, it wasn't until I came to Christ where that hole got filled. And he did lead me beside those still waters, He restoreth my soul. That is a big one. He did, as a Christian. If you're not Christian, if you are, you've experienced this when that fulfillment comes in. It is that God-sized hole. If you are searching for something and every time you hit something, there's something else. If it's a monetary goal, if it's whatever. I think I'm borderline ADHD or something. Every time I'm shooting for something and I get it, it's the next thing. Shooting for something, get it, it's the next thing. It's not until you fall on your knees and just fall on Christ that you're not permanently chasing something. You're finally still. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Now, lots of people get mixed on this, and for a while I was like, for his name's sake, what does that mean? Surely he'd do it for me. It's all about me. But we can't do it. It's the whole reason Christ came. And it is for his name's sake, because no one's righteous, no, not one, only him. And you cannot be a follower of Christ and then just be going off doing everything, right? Even though you're tempted to, and you will slip, you will fall, but he will bring you in paths of righteousness for his name's sake, because he is the truth, the foundation, the good, the pure. And you have a child and you let them just go off and do whatever they want. What is that going to turn? It's going to turn into a bad place eventually, right? So for the sake of your family, for the sake of the name of your family, for the sake of that child, you will move them into more righteous paths as far as our standards, because you know it will make them better. So our standards are here, his are up here somewhere, like through the roof. So it is for his name's sake, and we benefit from that. Praise the Lord. Yay. So yay is always, because I'm reading the King James Version here, and the reason I read the King James Version is because it's more of a literal translation, and I always dive into words and what they actually mean in the original, because the English language is limited. There's a part in the Bible where it says, speaking to Jesus, said, "Do you love me?" It says, of course I love you. Do you even love me? And what he means is, when he's speaking to Jesus, he goes, there's 5 different words for love in Hebrew. Was it the Hebrew or was it the Greek? In the Greek. And it says, "Do you love me?" And so he goes to top level. He goes, "Do you even love me?" Goes down, and he goes, "Of course I love you." So it goes boom, 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 all the way down. So we have the word love, like, and it means the same all the way around. Like, I love fish, I love going on walks, is the same word for I love my partner. So that's why you have to sort of dive into those words a little bit more. But yea, though I walk through the valley. Oh, so that's what I'm saying is yea being a confirmation forward of, yea, this is true for what's coming. Like when Jesus said, "Verily, verily, I say unto you," that verily, verily means, right, okay, really listen up to what's coming next. "Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me." So the valley of the shadow of death, yes, that can be a situation that you're going through, hard times, but we are also in the valley of the shadow of death. Death is going to come upon you at some point. And I think this is one of those things that you don't realize your mortality until you go into a situation where it is challenged. I've had several times in my life, the one that I'm willing to say on here was I got sepsis in my, I got a bacterial infection in my elbow, and I got sepsis, so poisoning of the blood. Like your CRP level is meant to be 1, 2's bad, 3's really bad. Mine was 248, full-blown sepsis. And I'm in hospital. There's 2 nights where no one thought I was going to survive. And I'm there in the hospital. I had 2 kids at the time, and all you can hear is the bleeping of the machine. And I'm lying there. I've never felt so vulnerable in my life. And I was literally looking around like, is this how it ends? And I wasn't Christian at the time. And ironically, I actually prayed that night, which is funny when you're faced with that situation. You will actually do things that seem strange to you at the time, but but when you're faced with death and all your rubbish, all your noise, that's silly, I'm worried about what this person's thinking about. If you were going to die at midnight tonight, you would take the worst atheist in the world would go, well, what happens? What actually happens? Isn't it funny how, and I know I'm going on a tangent here, isn't it funny how it's all silliness and it's all, oh yeah, the world started with a big bang and it was just on the top of a pin. The entire universe there was bang, and they can't explain it. It's literally a miracle. And the science says, give us one miracle and we'll explain the rest. And yet smart, intelligent people get told this with nothing to prove it. It's only observation, because science is measurable, repeatable, and observable. I won't go into this. I've actually done a full video on this channel, and people just accept that because you've been told since a young child. But when you actually start looking into this, you realize how ludicrous it is, and how even if that is the way it happened, that is a miracle in itself that can't be explained. So if you were going to die at midnight tonight, you would sit up and listen properly. And so they'll walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I should fear no evil. We are in the shadow of death. We are in that valley. But I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. And if you're not walking with Christ, you're on your own. You're walking on your own, and you will distract yourself with the world. You will not think of the bigger picture, the more important things in life. And for millennia, people have always gone, what happens afterwards? You look at the pharaohs, everything is all obsessed with death. Because why are we here? How are we here? How is this even possible? And when you look at a building, how do you know there's a builder? When you look at a painting, how do you know there's a painter? And yet we see life and, birds flying around and perfect little creatures and trillions of light sensitive cells in your eyes, and it was all a big accident. We're just quantum soup. If you want to look how ludicrous it is, go look at that video. In fact, I'll link it in this. I have no followers, so if you see this, please look at it. But I'm not doing this for followers. I'm doing this for anyone that may stumble upon it that might help. It's just a conviction I've got right now. But yeah, so as you can tell, I'm not a YouTuber. I'm kind of just going along on this. I just have a deep love for the Lord and a knowledge in the Bible. So I fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. So obviously we're doing that reflection back on the shepherd again. But back when you did really have shepherds, they had a rod and they had a staff. A rod would be to direct the sheep, and the staff was to beat off any kind of attacker, or wolves, whatever you want to call them, that comes to affect the sheep. So I have direction and I have protection. So I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. The shepherd's with me, with the rod and the staff. So I got direction and protection. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of thine enemies. Now this is really powerful. This is, you're going through hardship. You're going through hard things. And we're not talking about enemies as in like your boss. We're talking about, we do not struggle against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. This is a spiritual war that goes on. And if you're like right now, you're going, this guy's crazy. I would have thought the same years ago as well. And generally, I find that it's through a lack of knowledge. If right now you're going, this guy's nuts and there's no such thing as God, how can there be? I would spin that around and go, are you that knowledgeable? Are you understand the universe and how this got here so perfectly? You're the one who understands to be able to discount that. That's crazy. So to prepare a table in the presence of thine enemies, if we are under spiritual attack, if there is a good and evil, and we can all agree there's an evil in the world, right? Think of the most heinous things that happen in the world or in history, and you can go, yeah, that was evil. You can pick a situation and go, is it right to do this? You go, no. Why is it not right? If we're all just quantum soup and you can be whoever you want to be and whoever you are, why is that objectively wrong? Because if there's an objective wrong, there is an objective good. And that is a inbuilt thing into nature. We know what's wrong. We know what's right. And people go, oh, it's subjective. Well, if it's subjective, why can't you just go around offing people? I'm just going to put it that way because I know that YouTube's funny. Offing people. You can't, because you know that's wrong. Well, why is it wrong? So it's the dilemma that you got to deal with that I don't. Thou preparest the table in the presence of thine enemies. Let's go on from there. Thou anointest my head with oil. Now, again, going back to the foreshadowing of the shepherd, or the parable of the shepherd, so to speak, they used to actually put oil. This is twofold. They put oil on sheep to keep the flies away. They have these crazy, I don't know if you hear like March flies and stuff, these big flies. If they anoint the sheep with oil, it actually keeps the flies away. So that goes back to prepare a table in the presence of thine enemies. The enemies can't even come close because it's anointed with oil, so the flies didn't even come close. It's like a fly deterrent they used to use. But also in the Bible was a lot of anointing. The anointing of the head shows that you are a chosen one. So you're the chosen sheep. So the sheep is chosen and anointed and therefore protected by the shepherd, and all these attacks coming through the flies or anything else cannot affect it. Even though it walks through the valley of the shadow of death, it shall fear no evil because it's totally protected. My cup floweth over. So we're by the still waters, and think of a goblet, a cup flowing over, the water of life, the fountain of life. And not only do we have a cup full, it's flowing over. We've got an abundance of it. And when you come to Christ, you'll realize that that really is where true life is. And that is where that water flows out. And we do get the abundance of life. And so it's just feeding back into that. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Now, goodness, there is none good but God. And when you follow God, goodness will follow your life, even when it doesn't look like it at the time. And mercy, what is mercy? Let's break that word down. Mercy is you deserve something, but it's withheld. Someone breaks into your house. So you always hear of mercy and grace. Someone breaks into your house and they're stealing all your money that you've, whatever you got in there. You walk in and you catch them. Now, do you attack them? Do you call the police? They deserve all these things. You've got an attack dog here. You've got coppers with you, whatever. They deserve all these things. But mercy is go, you know what? I can see you're under hard times. I'm not going to. That is mercy. And even though they deserve it, you're not going to give them that due justice. And grace is not only do they not deserve it, you give them on top. So they've broken into your house. You go, you know what? I'm not going to call the police. I'm not going to release my attack dog. But you look like you're on a hard times. I'm going to give you money. I'm going to give you a room to... Do you want a shower? Have a shower. Go sleep in this room. Here's some money. That's grace. You deserve to be locked up. But not only are you not getting your due justice, you're now being given something on top. And this is the whole Christian thing that happens when you come to Christ, is that we deserve death. And for the wages of sin is death. That's what it says. And so that's why death is here. And we are due that wage. But that's what Jesus did on the cross. We had the fines. Jesus paid it. And so it can legally, lawfully be waived off. You know, if you're in, as what was it, Ray Comfort says, if you're in front of a just judge and you've done a heinous crime, you can't go, oh, no, I'll be fine. I've been really good since and I'm a good person. They go, no, you're paying for this that you've done. This sin, this law that's been broken, you're paying for this. But if you've got a stack of speeding fines of $1 million and you can't pay it, but someone else does, you can legally and lawfully walk. They go, someone else paid it, you can go. So you had the fines, Jesus paid them. And so that's why surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, because we're getting above what we actually deserve. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Ultimately, that is the ultimate goal, right? The house of the Lord. What happens after this? Now, read for it yourself. Take your time, digest it, understand it. But speaking to anyone that maybe isn't Christian or is searching, I actually am going to do my testimony at one point because it's crazy. As you can see, I'm not your normal looking Christian. And neither was I. I was completely opposite for a lot of my life. But if you are looking for truth, keep searching. Ask questions. Truth will always prove itself true. If it's a lie, it will fall apart. And if you're skeptical and you're wondering, say, about Christianity, what about the other religions? Thought the same. And on that, while I'm saying it, if you are listening this far, I'm speaking exactly to you, is that I thought the same. What other religions? I think I've got Buddha somewhere here. There we go. Buddha on there. I've got, Om symbols. Like you can see, I was somewhere else. And I wasn't religious. I was just a fighter and I was over in Thailand and got a tattoo, But I did look into that. And the Buddha actually foreshadowed Jesus. He spoke about Jesus. Go look at it. It's actually, they've tried to get rid of it. It's actually, you can find the scriptures, the Buddhist scriptures. You can also find, I think it's on the temple of Bolivia. It's still written there as well because they can't deface the temple. And he said that our righteousness is as a baby's hair in the womb. This is Buddha speaking. And they actually say to him, what will he look like? Which is a funny question to ask. But he says they'll pierce him in the hands and the feet. Who's that? Bearing in mind, this is way before crucifixion was even invented. And then you go over to, say, the Quran, Muslims, all Jesus in there as a prophet. And I'll go into that in another video because that's really deep, actually. Every religion points to Jesus and says who he is. Jesus points to himself and says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me. That's polarizing, meaning they can all be wrong, but they can't all be right because one has done a claim to truth. So pick it apart. Go find out, is he a real person? And on that note, to become a confirmed person in history, what they do is they maybe they excavate a coin and find out this person here. It says Caesar. Go, right, okay. And then they find pottery. Then they'll find notes written from different directions. This is what it sounds like when you got a house for the kids at night when they're trying to wind down. When you've got writings from Caesar himself, and then maybe you've got a centurion, then maybe you've got somewhere else. And over time they go, right, okay, there was the Caesar named Julius Caesar at this time because we have X, Y, and Z. Now, the Caesars have had under 100 confirmed things of them. A lot of them way under. You'd actually be shocked how so much history has been built from such little evidence. So if they're under 100, do you know how many manuscripts of Jesus Christ have been found from all over the world, different time frames? Over 20,000. He's the most confirmed person in history. That's why atheists have to admit that Jesus lived. They just dispute on was he who he said he was, which I'll go into in another video. So Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of thine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen.